Hello there, this is ETV Special Edition and I'm Santayo Tamarat with this edition. With this edition, I'll try to focus on the African Continental Free Trade Area. And this Continental Free Trade Area is expected to extricate millions of Africans out of poverty. And to give us more on this, I'm joined here at the African Union headquarters by Victor Fernandez, Minister of Trade and Industry in Angola. Thank you so much for joining me and do stay tuned. A very warm welcome to you, Victor Fernandez.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So today we will talk about the African Continental Free Trade Areas, the progress so far, its significance and so on. So let's start it with the significance of African Continental Free Trade Area project. What would you say on that?
Well, to start with, I think it's the brightest idea that we come upon as Africans. As you know, we have a huge market. Right now we are 1.3 billion people. And we decided that if we trade within each other, it will make our countries even better. And the thing is, we took too long to be here. We were supposed to do it like 30 to 20 years ago. And I suppose that if you did it at the time, we will be in a different path now. But, well, things have to happen when they have to happen. And it's important that this year, we decided that this year should be the acceleration of the AfCFTA. And it means that rather than just been talking about what's going to be the AfCFTA, we want to actually set up a chronogram with a milestone and try to make it happen alongside the continent. And it's important that we decided it because politically we have to give these signs to the private sector because the ones who's going to operate it won't be the politicians.
Yeah, sure.
It will be the private sector. So it's a very, very unique and a brightest idea of the ones who preceded us. So it's quite good.
The operational phase was launched in Accra, Ghana in 2019 and it's going to be 5 years now. So how do you explain the progress so far?
Well, we are taking good steps, firmly. Of course, sometimes a little bit slow, but they are firm and they are committed, which means that everything that we've been doing until now, it's in a good way. And it's an experience that we can actually go along with that. And as you know, we had the guided pilot, the first one. And it was good because we had 8 countries at the same time trading. Private-owned companies trading between each other, but there were 8 countries in there. So this is good. They are firm, calculus, but firm steps, which is good.
Some people are just explaining that in some countries the political commitment is not that much as expected by the plan, and due to this and other factors, it is being slowed down. So what is your reaction to that?
I wouldn't say that. We have, well, Africa is not a country, it's a continent. And therefore, the countries are not in the same path, either economically or the social status. They have to go, we have to be on board with everything. So the thing is, even though some countries might seem that are a little bit slow, the thing is they are preparing themselves to be on board of it. And it's okay. We don't have to be all at the same time at the same level. We have to be the same conviction that this will happen. And the conviction is there and the willing is there. So I think it will happen.
Then what does your government's commitment look like in this regard?
Oh, I am the responsible for it, so the commitment is full. And as I mentioned before, we have to look within each other because we trade a lot with the other side of the world, other geographies such as European Union or even America. We trade a lot of them. Imagine if we start actually trading between each other. 1.3 billion people trading with each other. What kind of economy will us be? That's the main goal is that.
Then the steps taken by your ministry?
Yeah, we've been doing everything that we have to do. Right now we are waiting for the technical evaluation, and I think in a month we're going to have it, so we are rushing.
Due to some political commitment, I mean just lack of political commitment or reduced political commitment, let me say, it is just being slowed down among some point. So what solutions or suggestions do you have for those countries?
Well, one thing that we've been doing is let us learn from the best. We have countries that are actually in the front and they have more experience on doing things. Why don't we learn within each other? We have a lot to learn within each other, and it starts by working together, you know. And I think we have the willing, we have the spirit, we're going to do it.
Finally, the efforts expected from government is to accelerate the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. What would you suggest?
Well, first of all, everybody should be on board. We have already 38 countries that ratified the agreement. We are expecting the others to be on board also. And let us give the Secretariat the power to do things. They are very good, and I'm expecting a great chronogram and milestones that we can actually be compliant with. So I'm very confident.
Victor Fernandez, Minister of Industry and Trade of Angola, thank you so much for the explanations you have given us on the African Continental Free Trade Area. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dear viewers, this is a conversation with Victor Fernandez, Angolan Minister of Trade and Industry. We talked on a lot of issues, particularly on the progress of African Continental Free Trade Area project and also the ways forward. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm Sintayo Tamrat with this special edition. See you another time.
Africa is the second largest continent with a population of more than 1.4 billion. But what is the Africa that we want?
An Africa that's free of civil war and corruption.
An Africa that is resilient.
An Africa that has citizens who are proud of being an African.
An Africa that is free from hunger.
An Africa that is self-sufficient and prosperous.
That is the Africa we want. And these are the stories ETV will bring to you.
So they are all here for the joint press conference. And we will be hearing from His Excellency Ambassador Muchanga, who is the African Union Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Tourism, Industry and Minerals. Then we will hear from Mr. Mulwalem Sium, the CEO of the AE Trade Group. And he will also be speaking on behalf of His Excellency Mr. Haile Mariam Desalegn, who is the chairperson of the AE Trade Group Board. Then we will have a very short signing ceremony and also hear remarks from the Secretary General of the Inter-African Coffee Association, Ambassador Solomon Rutega. Finally, we'll have a statement and launch of the Africa Jobs Summit by the Honorable Minister, Muferihat Kamil, who is the Minister of Labor and Skills, but he is represented here today by Honorable Minister Negusu Tilahun, who is the State Minister of Labor and Skills in the FDRE. We have a very short time for this briefing, so I'm going to ask all our panelists to be very brief, 3 minutes each, because there are other processes that are going on, so we have been given 30 minutes to complete this press briefing. So let's get to it right away and ask Commissioner Ambassador Albert Muchanga, Commissioner of Economic Development, Trade, Tourism, Industry and Minerals at the AU Commission. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremony. Indeed, it was a very, very busy day. My champion on African Union financial institutions is about to make a statement in the plenary, so I'm required to be there. But let me begin by welcoming each and every one of you to this briefing and indicate that the African Union is an intergovernmental body. And the sense of that is that it's a platform for collaboration. And our collaboration goes beyond the African Union. So we are collaborating with various institutions, and one of them is the Africa E-Trade Group, or A-Trade Group, with whom we have a memorandum of understanding. We have collaborated together in a number of areas. If I can just give an example, the Africa Youth Startup Program, and also in other areas. So when we were invited to be part of this briefing, we welcomed it very, very, very well, because all the activities which bring us here together today are aimed at expanding production across Africa in the area of coffee, and that coffee can be traded across the African Continental Free Trade Area. And the theme is boosting accelerated implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. The more goods we have across the market, the better. And then the other intervention, which is also very critical, is the issue of providing decent jobs to the young people. Africa is a young continent with a median age of 19 years, so the future belongs to the youth. And for them to have a bright future, we need to give them decent jobs. And the African Union is committed very much to facilitating that. So with these few remarks, once more, welcome to this briefing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency Ambassador Commissioner Muchanga. We move on now and invite Mr. Mulwalem Sium, who is the CEO of the AE Trade Group, and he will also announce the Global Youth Startup. And as I mentioned before, he's representing His Excellency Haile Mariam Desalegn, the chairperson of the AE Trade Group Board. Mr. Sium, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. It is a great pleasure to be here today, in which three press conference and three different agenda that we are taking place. The A-Trade Group, as you may know, for those who do not know, is we provide digital capacity building throughout the continent. We are a strategic partner with the African Union to provide for small and medium entrepreneurs, particularly the youth and women. The A-Trade Group has a vision to eradicate extreme poverty by 2037, to create between 80 to 125 million jobs in the continent. For that, we want to work with everyone, public, private sectors, institutions, academia. And that's what is today the example of the announcement that we are putting, the three press conference that we're putting today is one of them is the coffee associations. And the coffee associations, the coffee industry is the second largest commodity in the world. And the value chain for that is a number of job creations, not just only in the city, but in a rural area. And we are focusing today to sign the memorandum of understanding, in which Ambassador Solomon will make a remark on that. But now the announcement of the global youth competition, as we partnership with the African Union, we are honored to take this responsibility from the African Union in collaborations with other partners. In 2021, we had launched the global competition in which over 5,000 young innovators has been participating from 51 countries. And we sponsor 150 innovators from 41 countries. That was the seed of what African young innovators has. And this ocean of innovations that we want to nurture it and we want to grow it. And this year that we are working in partnership with African Union And for another competition that will be started this year in November in Cote d'Ivoire under the margin of the African free trade fair. So for that, we are honored. This, the AU's competition idea has come up from His Excellency, Ambassador Albert Muchanga, and we are honored to work because that is what we do at the ground on a day-to-day basis, is on the job creations and nurture innovations throughout the continent. With this, I will give a few remarks if Your Excellency want to make a few remarks about the competitions.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is basically the competition starts now. It is in our website for any young entrepreneurs, innovators can start to compete. It is aetradegroup.com/news that you will find the global youth competition form, and basically you will follow the instructions how you fill the form and representing yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Therefore, that briefing, which also ties into Agenda 2063, one of whose goals is to have an Africa that is developed, but developed by its own people. And young people are very important in that matrix. Let's move on now and have the signing ceremony. Are we ready to have the signing ceremony? Please, let's proceed. Let's proceed with the signing ceremony. And as we are preparing for that, let me just explain that this is a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, that is being signed between the AE Trade Group and the Inter-African Coffee Association. So, are we ready to proceed with that? Oh, you are doing it already. Okay. Normally, I see lawyers behind, so I was looking for a lawyer. Sorry? Organization. Okay, not association. Once we are done, we expect that the principals, all the principals will stand up, and you will have opportunity for a group photo, and then they will immediately sit down again, and then there'll be a statement on the launch of the Africa Jobs Summit by Honorable Minister Camille, represented by Honorable Minister Tilahun. Okay, can I ask you to just, yeah.
No, not yet. Not yet.
They haven't yet done it. Okay.
They're not finished. Yeah. It will be done on both sides.
Okay, so what we are witnessing is the signing and exchange of an MOU between the AE Trade Group and the Inter-African Coffee Organization. We come now to the final item on our agenda, which is a statement and launch of the Africa Jobs Summit.
This is a very important partnership with the AE Trade Group. As mentioned, coffee is the second largest traded commodity. Not only that, it is coffee. Africa is the birthplace of coffee. So it's important that we make this a strategic commodity under the African Union Agriculture Agenda 2063. This partnership is going to continue to target the youth, who are the biggest population right now, 70% of the continent, below the age of 30. So we are very optimistic that we shall continue to promote coffee. I hope all of you here after this can drink a cup of coffee. We've come up with an initiative, Drink African Coffee, Build Africa. So I appeal to you to not only talk about coffee, but to drink it. We still have a very low per capita consumption in Africa, and if 1 kilo is consumed by one African, those will be 13 million bags per year. We don't need to export outside Africa. So I hope you all get the message. Drink African coffee, build Africa. Thank you.
I think that makes a very nice slogan for a campaign. Drink African coffee, build Africa. It sounds very good. Thank you very much. That was Ambassador Solomon Rutega, who is the Secretary General of the Inter-African Coffee Organization. All right, now let's move on to that final item, and I will now invite Honorable Neguse Tilahun, the State Minister of Labor and Skills, to make that statement and the launch of the Africa Jobs Summit. Honorable, it's over to you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I would like to read the statement as prepared by our ministry on behalf of Her Excellency, our Minister. First of all, I wish to thank the African Union Commission, His Excellency Muchanga in particular, as well as Mr. Mulwalem Suyum, Chief Executive Officer of AE Trade Group, for inviting us for this media briefing. I wish to thank also the distinguished speakers, guests, and the media houses for their presence and coverage, because that we are witnessing today deserves to be shared with all the citizens of the continent. We are pleased to be at this summit with the leaders of the African Union, who are discussing many important topics, including the theme of the AU this year, which is the fast tracking of the African Continental Free Trade Area implementation. As we all know, Africa is a young continent. Now, with this understanding, the ever-growing youth population in Africa, with the demographic boom that will make Africa's workforce the largest in the world by 2030. There is a significant gap between the number of young people seeking work and the limited opportunities available to them. Moreover, there is a mismatch between the skills of young people entering the workforce and the needs of employers. Every year, millions of school leavers and graduates enter the job market, and only nearly 1/3 of them get every job. This is why we all need to be bold and ambitious about the results we wish to generate due to the high numbers of young graduates who are coming into the job market every year, as well as the devastating impact of COVID-19 and other calamities, such as climatic change, conflicts, and the like. This means we need scalable solutions in order to address challenges faced by a population of 1.4 billion people in Africa. Furthermore, the world is changing, and one of the key drivers is technology. The government of Ethiopia, of course, is partnership with development partners and entities like African Development Bank, has been working on the challenges of job creation for some time, with some positive results. Currently, through the Ministry of Labor and Skills, we are working to build competent workforce, a seamless transition from school to work, and a seamless employment relationship. We focus on entrepreneurship and enterprise development, access to finance, and market access optimization in approach. As part of our effort to tackle the challenges of job opportunities creation, we held 2 annual national job summits so far, and we are pleased to announce that in partnership with the African Union and all member states, we shall be hosting every year a job summit for Africa. This is a unique multi-stakeholder platform which shall bring together all existing job creation perspectives and experiences, to learn from each other, to celebrate success, and to form partnership alliances to accelerate the creation of decent jobs across the continent. The AE Trade Group has been actively building an ecosystem of partnership at national, regional, and continental level. We welcomed the AE Trade Group's proactive offer to be the technical secretariat of the Job Summit for Africa, which is championed by our leadership. We are reliably informed that they have been working closely with the African Union on similar initiatives, and we are confident that this role will enable us to have a partner who can organize the annual event and also ensure that there are continuous activities at national level which shall feed into this premier platform that we are building. We are pleased to announce that the inaugural African Jobs Summit shall take place in July 2023. We are in the process of preparing for this impactful event, and we need the support of all the stakeholders, governments, private sector, academia, international organizations, and especially the media. We have just witnessed the signing of a partnership agreement between the Inter-African Coffee Organization and the AE Trade Group. Earlier, they were briefing me about some of the innovative ideas, of course, they have for young people in the coffee sector. I am truly excited about this venture as well, because our experience in Ethiopia shows how so many jobs can be created along the coffee value chain if we invest in building the right skills. As I conclude, I wish to thank the African Union for their dedicated efforts supporting entrepreneurship, capacity building efforts, and promoting policies that will enable us to see the youth thrive and become a dynamic force across the continent and indeed across the world. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Negus Telahun, State Minister of Labor and Skills. So that brings to an end the formal part of our proceedings.